On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. So much news, obviously, going on, but one thing that's kind of bothersome, concerning, is how many stories get pushed as fact, how many people run with it, how many weird clickbaits we see relative to some of these stories that don't seem true and most likely aren't, yet people run with them. Axios is one of the worst at putting stories out. I don't necessarily have any examples of them today. I've got a couple stories that got spun in weird ways, and, some like them or don't like them. Jordan Sather, he's kind of had the same feel lately. Like, I've been noticing on one of the sites, and I don't want to mention it, but most of the major big creators that are out there are all using insanely clickbait thumbnails and clickbait titles. I have seen more of Obama's being arrested and martial law is going to happen, like, all over the place by multiple creators. There's zero martial law right now, and there's zero anything about Obama being arrested. Zero. Yet, I've seen these same thumbnails for multiple days now. It's weird. So obviously I'm the bad guy, right? I'm not putting a lot of attention on some of these crap stories, trying my best to vet or at least be as honest about what we're being presented as I can. But it is strange how there is this desire for us to seek that dopamine hit, that crazy story, because we so desperately want to believe it, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering. I think that's where it's at. It's very strange, though. Spoiler alert, interest rates didn't go down. We knew they wouldn't. Of course not. But, yeah, needless to say, a lot going on. Let's get into it. Fun stuff, crazy stuff. Big tsunami. Guys, I don't know if you knew this. 8.8, 8.7, depends who you ask. It's still a ginormous earthquake. They're saying the biggest one, I want to say in 14 years or something to that effect. A giant earthquake. We do have some footage of the quote-unquote tsunami, but there was a tsunami warning. We had one here in California. I'm personally not even remotely worried about something like that. I think I'm really close to about roughly 1,000 feet above sea level, roughly. So not that I'm far from the beach. It just kind of slopes up. So, yeah, it'd take quite a big tidal wave for me to even be remotely concerned. Needless to say, I don't think we got much here. I think it was like maybe, I don't know, Japan's was a few centimeters, I think, is what they were saying. We do have Russia, though. Russia got hit pretty good. We got a couple views of this. I think this is probably a pretty good one. Check this out. I mean, that is the tidal wave right there. It came in and affected this farm or this manufacturing facility. They all escaped. Nobody got hurt. But this didn't play well for this facility. Obviously, it's going to have some damage and take some fixing. It's got some buildings drifting around. I'm sure some of those didn't even make it. And then we've got kind of the water sort of clearing out, which I thought was kind of equally cool. You see it come in, you see it go out. But here is all the retreating water. I think that's that same facility right over here. So, yeah, obviously a lot of water came inland. This was Russia. This was very close to the epicenter. So, again, pretty crazy stuff. We also had a panic at a cruise ship out in Hawaii. Again, they didn't know how big this was going to be. It was a warning. The expectation, I think, in Hawaii was that it could be up to 3 meters in length. 10-foot tall wave coming in could cause a problem for a passenger ship. So the passenger ships were essentially bugging out from the port. And if you didn't make it by the time they left, you just weren't on the boat. And yeah, some lady with giant eyes, she missed the ship, apparently. And that's what happens. I'm sure there was some sort of noise. I'm sure everybody got a text message saying the ship is going to leave early. Obviously, they were trying to get in by bus. Maybe traffic was so hard they couldn't get in. Whatever the case was, they didn't make it. They ended up taking them back to higher ground. And as it played out, there wasn't a whole lot as far as the tsunami in Hawaii. It was pretty small. In fact, I don't even know if we if I was able to find any video of it. We do know that this mountain, this volcano, first off, this is one of the most volcanic regions on the planet, believe it or not. I didn't actually know this, but this area over in Kamchatka, there is a crap ton of volcanoes. They said there's about 300 volcanoes, of which 29 are active, just in this one part of the world, right? So this is, I guess, expected. One of the volcanoes started erupting. There was an expectation that it would erupt, and that likely tied into the large earthquakes. And there was many. I guess I could try to pull it up real quick. I don't know if they'll still show. They should. It's within 24 hours. Whoops. USGS. Let's try this better. USGS, and we want latest earthquakes. Oh, cool. Still there from yesterday. So you can see they've had a crap ton of earthquakes in this area. This got volcanic written all over it just because of how scattered they are. So stuff's moving. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some other volcanoes heading out as well. And again, the original, I think, is still set. That's not it. Probably towards the bottom, assuming there's a bunch of earthquakes in this area. Where is you? 6.9. There it is, 8.8. So they're still listing it as an 8.8 on the USGS, which is, again, giant earthquake. So, again, Alaska didn't really, that I could tell, get any major swells, and probably because they're angled down this way. Hawaii definitely got a little action. Our coast got a little action, but not much. Japan definitely got a little bit of action, but again, not much. I think they had something like 30 centimeter. Of course, they do it that way. 2.54 centimeters per inch. 30 centimeters is basically a third of a meter. How about that? That's an easier way to say it. Or a third of a yard, roughly, just because we're Americans, we have a hard time. So, interesting. And also, we have a weird, dramatic pattern of change in the weather. I kind of thought I would point this out as well. Not that they're directly related in any way, shape, or form, but sort of good news. It's supposed to get a lot cooler around most of the country right now. It seems, in fact, in my opinion, at least this one up here in particular, so all the orange is going to kind of go into green, and it really looks like we're having a cooling trend across the entire country. It seems abnormally cooler in the entire country. Again, the West Coast has been very abnormally cool this year. I'm not trying to rub it in anyone's noses either right now, but we have been way under seasonable normal, like way under, like 10 degrees easy. Like today is actually going to be one of the warmest days, and we're going to hit 85. It's just ridiculous. Again, not trying to kick anyone while they're down. It's just we've had a very mild summer. Normally it's the other way around. We're usually drier than dry, so it makes me wonder what's going to happen with the winter. But at least a lot of you all are going to get some reprieve, it seems, hopefully. We'll see how that plays out. Breaking explosion happened in a Horizon Biofuels plant in Fremont, Nebraska. The facility produces fuel pellets. Not sure if anyone died on this. It could have. Yeah, that doesn't look like that went according to plan. So, yeah, something's not good there. We'll see if we ever find out any more information. Certainly prayers out to anybody that might be hurt. This is kind of a weird story that's funny, and I saw it yesterday. There was a picture of Eric Swallowwell, and he was bench pressing, and he had 45 on each side, and the bar itself is 45. So he was doing 135 pounds, which not bad. I mean, I could probably do 8 reps of that, probably. I don't do bench like normal free weight bench all that often, so I would have to practice it a few times probably before, because it is a little weird when you don't do it for a while. It's a lot of weight, but yeah, pushing up to 45s on each side, I totally could do that. But Eric got a little bit of crap. I guess Greg Gutfeld did 7-8 minutes making fun of him, and then Swallowwell comes out and says, "Here's a deal for you, Gutfeld at Fox. Never heard of him until I spent 8 minutes criticizing what I bench press." Says basically, if you can do what I can do, if you can do 10 sets of this or whatever, then I will quit Congress. And if you can't do 10 of those, then you've got to quit Fox, is basically what he said. And then, of course, Mark Wayne Mullen, who's pretty buff and a soldier and all that stuff, he's like, "Eric, if you're looking for a reason to leave Congress, I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll take your offer, or whatever your max is. I'll do for a minimum of 5 reps. You're welcome to counter. Give my best to Fang Fang." right? So whatever his max is, which at best is probably maybe 10 pounds on each side at best. And yeah, Mark Wayne Mullen could probably push up 245s on each side. Probably. He's a pretty big guy. Probably. Assuming he actually works out on a regular basis. I can guarantee he can. So yeah, I'm sure he could easily do 5 reps of Eric Swallowell's best. Who knows? Don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but it is a funny little bit of drama. A little bit more drama. It's kind of funny how the Dems like to say things, and in this case, Whoopi Goldberg has some crazy stuff to say, and, well, this guy's black, too. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he has opinions that differ than Whoopi.
Think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran.
My district in the great state of Texas is actually a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 25 points. As I said, I'm a direct descendant of a slave. My great-great-grandfather was born on a Rosedale plantation. I am literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. That's the progress because, like, a lot of white people had to vote for me. A lot. So I don't even ever want to hear Whoopi Goldberg's conversation about how it's worse to be black in America right now. That's a bit far. And my father, who's 75 years old, he was a man that was in the French quarters that had to go get a sandwich to the back door of the building. And his son is now a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas as a Republican. That is America. That's America.
Yeah, I mean, could it be better? Probably. But has it come an extraordinarily long ways? Definitely. For sure. A Virginia City councilman has been set on fire by some maniac, went barging into his office, dumped 5 gallons of gas on him. First off, just the very nature, like literally the whole 5 gallons, like that's a glug, 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 glug. First off, that's heavy, right? That's probably 35 pounds-ish. I think it's about 7+ pounds per gallon, right? Like 35 pounds this dude's holding, just glug, 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 glug. Really? First off. Anyway, second off, getting any gasoline on you is a big, big problem. And apparently he tried to run out the Congress member. I think he's a state member, but he tried running out of there. The dude followed him out and apparently caught him on fire. What we understand potentially is that the suspect has been named first off as 29-year-old Shotzi Michael Buck Hayes of Danville. Go figure. He is currently in police custody and is believed to have known Vogler before the attack, according to reports. And again, this gentleman's name is Lee Vogler of Danville City Councilman there. So, yeah, not cool. A lot of crazy going on in the world right now. King Charles, a little worried that Trump's going to say stuff like he did at Scotland with Keir Starmer. What is his damn name? Hare or Care, whatever it was. I always feel like it's a Germany name anyway, but whatever. Trump was pretty much like, yeah, no, this whole immigration thing's a mess, like, and he did it in a very weird way, like a very cool way. I think I talked about it yesterday, but he sort of talked about, like, here's what I did to win the election, right? And maybe a big hint to Farage, maybe a big hint to people in England, like, you might actually get some reprieve soon. Your current government, King included, by the way, and not trying to be, per se, disrespectful of your lame-ass form of government that you've got there in England, but kind of think the shoe fits a little bit. I kind of do. Needless to say, King Charles is very concerned that Trump might say something dodgy. You never know. You never know what's going to happen, so he could. Here's the douche's name. Let's see if I can get it properly. Sir Keir. So Keir Starmer. Whatever. Still a stupid-ass name. Needless to say, not making friends with anybody doing this, I'm sure. UK PM has defended this crackdown on internet freedoms. Of course, it's all on the safety of children. But in reality, it's just going to be censorship. Harmful content is a very broad term, and they're using, again, a third party to be the policy holders or the policy protectors. What is this? Ofcom. It's just an interesting name in and of itself. But they're going to deem what's harmful or not harmful. And then they can turn around and fine the hell out of these companies for having stuff like that online. This is going to be very interesting. 2, we are going into the last real serious push by the deep state to censor things. How broad that goes, we are going to find out. We're seeing indications that YouTube is going to be doing something, but I'll be honest, kind of like what they're attempting doing. And even, I don't like age verification as much, though I guess you could verify your age once you reach a certain point, but I do not like the idea of children verifying their age. I think that's a horrific idea for a child to go on record and have a database thing that's, I don't trust all the pedos out there at all. So having your child exposed digitally like that, to me, would be concerning. Fortunately, I don't have kids. That would be a huge problem. But I like the way YouTube's coming at it, and I think more companies should do it that direction, and they should be able to, and it might be better in the big picture. We'll see. We'll get there. I'm not trying to get too far ahead. But Trump, top Trump ally, has confirmed as a judge. So we got one judge confirmed in, and Emil Beauvais. I guess I was just determined to screw up that guy's name. But he actually made it in. I think he barely passed 50 to 49. It's not a big surprise. Murkowski and Collins both voted against him. McConnell apparently voted for him, at least. That's promising. But yeah, we've got some crap people in Congress. We need to somehow get through this difficult time. I am still expecting that one or two Republicans are going to switch to Democrat. That's still an expectation. I don't want it to happen, but I do think that they're going to get desperate, and that might be one of the final plays. And Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski would definitely be two people that I would expect that to happen from. Now, I do think we've got some Democrats that might be willing to do the opposite, certainly Fetterman in the Senate. So they're going to have to do some interesting stuff to make any of these things play out. Well, again, we're speculating here. Don't know. But they got ML Beauvais in. Oops, damn it, I keep doing that. So this has kind of started a small little funny war, and also some very, one of the things that pissed me off today, because someone just totally misrepresented, and I'm hoping it's just because they're retarded. We'll find out. Maybe we won't ever find out, but this is something that I've been noticing from this individual in general as they've started to progress into this posting weird stuff, kind of putting a strange slant on it. It's interesting. It's just, some of the places where I get my information, sometimes we've got to modify, or at least I've got to pay a little more attention to what they're sharing and how. It's kind of key. Needless to say, Trump truthed this out, and I always prefer his words. Chuck Grassley, who I got reelected to the U.S. Senate when he was down by a lot in the great state of Iowa, could solve the blue slip problem we are having with respect to the appointment of highly qualified judges and U.S. attorneys with a mere flick of the pen. Democrats like Schumer, Warner, Kaine, Booker, Schiff, and others, sleazebags all, have an ironclad stoppage of great Republican candidates. Put simply, the President of the United States will never be permitted to appoint the person of his choice because of an ancient and probably unconstitutional custom that if you have even one person in the opposite party serving in the U.S. Senate, he or she must give consent, thereby completely stopping the opposite party's nominations. The only way to beat this hoax is to appoint a Democrat or a weak and ineffective Republican. Therefore, I would never be able to appoint great judges or U.S. attorneys in California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Virginia, and other places where there is, coincidentally, the highest level of crime and corruption. The places where fantastic people are most needed. Senator Grassley must step up, like crooked Joe Biden did when he was openly broke, at least 2 times. The blue slip scam, and like others have done over the years, and let our great Republican judges and U.S. attorneys be confirmed. He should do this immediately and not let the Democrats laugh at him and the Republican Party for being weak and ineffective. The Democrats have broken this ridiculous custom on us. It's time that we break it on them. Chuck, I know you have the courage to do this. Do it. Now, Chuck got a little pissed, but we are going to kind of point out a couple things. So one, a lot of people were responding to Chuck. I just want to call out a couple of the bad posts that showed up that pissed me off. Here's one of them. There's like, Trump is truthing this picture. Be the calm in the storm. We knew this day would come. They're like, Trump is retruthing all this stuff. No, he's not. This is people responding to Chuck Grassley, replying to @RealDonaldTrump Trump with this. Trump didn't retweet this. This was a reply to Trump. Now, it's on there, and he's putting @RealDonaldTrump Trump, so that's cool. So that was one of them that upset me, and we've got a few others. We'll see if I don't lose my place too terribly far. So that was one of them. Here's the other one. It's time to indict Obama, the traitor for treason. MAGA, America's ambassador. People are like, Trump retruthed this. No, he didn't. This is a reply to Donald Trump. Again, pisses me off when people misrepresent stuff. It's hard enough to get the information correct, and then we got a bunch of people that are running around saying stuff that's incorrect. And we have to kind of try to fix that, which makes our jobs, I think, harder. Anyway, a lot of people. Let's go. Senator Grassley help President Trump get honest conservatives. Let's see. We got a bunch of people that talk about right here. We will call the Senate and ask to change the rules and tell Thune to fire the parliamentarian, right? Yes, why do Republicans over and over let Dems do these schemes? So Trump was, I think, are these responses or are these retruths? I'm curious if these were retruths or responses. These are actually retruths. Yeah, I like that. These are actually retruths. But some of these are just responses, right? So here's what in the heck is a blue slip custom and why the hell is it in place? Again, this is the one where he explained it, but if any one senator, like for example, Trump wants to put a judge in New York, Schumer and whoever the other person, Booker, I think maybe, get to say no. They get to say no. And if either one of them says no, then that's it. That person can't be confirmed. This is one of the problems we've been having. Certainly the issue that we had with Lena Haba in New Jersey. They more or less managed to get her in. She's not a judge, but still similar problems. Grassley is a rhino, always has been. So again, a lot of people are not happy with Grassley. We the people stand with Trump, MAGA Nation, right? So Trump, he put a lot of stuff out here. It's very important that he did. And again, I feel like there was a third thing that the individual posted that was a retruth. There it is, this one right here. Yeah, replying to it, real Donald Trump. And this was the third picture. Until this happens, nothing will change. Trump is being crazy, truthing all this stuff out. He's not truthing this out. It's a reply. None of this was truthed out by Trump. So again, it's cool that people are doing it. Just be careful who you follow, who you believe. Make sure you check information. I'm not always going to be able to, verify things. Grassley rips Trump, though. He's pretty pissed off about it all. He said, last night I was surprised to see President Trump on Truth Social go after me and Senate Republicans over what we call the blue slip. I was offended by what President said, and I'm disappointed that it would result in personal insults. I don't think he was insulting him. I don't really know if that was an insult. I don't feel, whatever. It could have been way worse, so trust me, if you want insults, we'll give you some of those, Grassley. I think we're actually being pretty calm and kind in the big picture. So all said, I mean, if maybe it's the reelected part, but it's probably not a lie, right? So we'll see. Trump's never going to be allowed to have people that he wants in. That's just how it's going to play out, and we don't want to leave that in their hands, right? That's definitely not what we want to do. Investigative journalist John Solomon declared that former President Barack Obama can now be compelled to testify before a grand jury, and he cannot invoke the Fifth Amendment due to his presidential immunity. So this whole idea that Trump is like, arrest him, hasn't happened yet. Does Trump want him investigated? Yeah, he said that. Can't just arrest him. You can't. These are the same people that are like, dump all the files. Like, dude, you guys got to understand how things actually work, especially in government, especially in criminal trials. Like, it's got to play out. So one of the kickers that he points out, which is kind of cool, if Obama lies as a private citizen about what he did during his presidency, that immunity evaporates, potentially exposing him to criminal prosecution. Now, I don't know if it evaporates because now he's lying, because lying is not okay. Even if you've got immunity, but you're choosing to lie about whatever it is you have immunity for, you should just admit to it because you've got immunity. If you lie, you're lying. Lying's illegal. Once called before a grand jury, Obama must testify under oath. If he misrepresents or lies about any matter related to the official conduct, he loses that immunity from the date of the lie onward. That single moment as a private citizen would nullify the entire blanket he once relied upon. Now, I assume, even with immunity, I wonder what happens if they do try to take the Fifth, right? Like, you got to wonder. Because they might and still not want to admit to stuff, and taking the Fifth would be a way of not wanting to admit something. And who knows, maybe a civil trial pops up somewhere, maybe some other weird trial, right? Just because you got immunity in this one way, you could still come at them from a state. So thinking that any of these guys are going to admit to anything in grand jury testimony, I think is just silly. I think it's a lot of people that have high hopes, that think this whole thing's going to go much easier than it has been going. We're moving quickly. I mean, I think it's fair to say. But I think the idea that this is going to play out the way so many of us want it to is it's not going to happen. It's going to take a little time or a lot of time. It's going to take time. It's all about getting the country safe, winning the next election, getting paper ballots so we can actually trust our elections, right? Like a lot of things have to happen that are, frankly, gobs more important than Epstein files or, again, like people, when it talks about Epstein, yeah, we want to see people convicted of crimes that they're guilty of, for sure. But when it talks about stopping the crime, we've got to do it immediately. Well, it's already stopped, right? So letting this play out is, I mean, what would be the purpose of hurrying? If we hurry, it's going to end up like the Diddy trial. Is that what you want? Do you want to, because you can't double jeopardy. You can't try them again. So if you fail the first time, then what? Just because you wanted to rush? Not going to be okay. I want to let you guys know, MyPillow, they got cool stuff. Oh, still got the slippers. They got rid of the Giza sheets. Those are, see, they're back to normal price. I told you guys, I hope you took advantage of that when you could, because $69.98, that's for the twins. It's probably $110, $130 for the king size. So hopefully you guys had that. By the way, they've got the best pillow ever, and it's still $17.98. I think they made way too many of them. Obviously, you want to go to mypillow.com/OTF. You want to use that promo code OTF, save yourself a bunch of money. Anything over $75, you're getting $100 in free digital coupons. And so that's always cool. These slippers are still an amazing price, $39.98. It's not going to be lower than that, guarantee. It's an incredible price. I highly recommend it. Think Christmas gifts, and you will be in a happy place, because these are the older models that are kind of going away. And so it's going to be dependent on what's left. If they got your size and if they got your color, you might want to jump on that before you wait too long. Next generation energy drinks, this Rev 7 is fantastic. You can try 3 of them for free. You just got to pay shipping for it. I think it's like $2 or something like that. Not too bad deal. You can also buy 12 packs of them. I have done that, and they are delicious. There's great energy in them. They taste fantastic. They have like 0 calories, 10 milligrams of salt. They are, and no caffeine. It's one of the things. Mike's kind of a drug user, right? So, or was, I should say, right? Once, always, I think this is kind of how they think in their mind. But this has like a chemical in it. It's like if you go down to the gym and you don't have any stomach in your, or food in your stomach, and you start working out, your body has to create energy. And it's like THPP or I don't know, some weird thing like that. It's energy. This is what this has. It's got that in it. So when you drink it, like your body instantly can comprehend it and deal with it. And it's pretty freaking nice. Pretty freaking nice. By the way, towels, best towels ever. If you ever see a deal on towels with them, and you need towels especially, it's kind of the important part, I guess, you want to get in on this. The kitchen towels are fantastic. They're surprisingly big, a little bigger than some I've seen. I don't know. They're good towels. $9.99. I think you get like 3 or 4 of them for that price. Pretty sweet. Their bath towels are incredible. Love the bath towels. And their beach towels are really, really nice as well. So highly recommend all the towels. And again, we've still got the summer sheet percales sheets as low as $29.98. So they took away the any size, any color. That's the twins, and they go up from there. So hopefully you guys took advantage of the sheet stuff. Definitely get on the outlet places. The outlet areas have some really, really good stuff. Always do. And this is where they're just trying to get rid of different products. I don't think that's going to open quickly. But again, there it is. MyPillow has got some really, really good stuff. Their cloth, everything they make out of cotton is freaking fantastic. Flannel sheets they're doing as low as $29.99. We've got the percale sheets, $39.98. Giza pillowcases, you can buy those separately. Are those pillows? Oh, premium Giza MyPillow. Oh, very cool. Sweatshirts, which is kind of cool. The new MyPillow hoodie. Again, they've got, and they're just comfortable. I mean, they're comfortable. You're not buying these things to wear to the Oscars or something like that, right? But you're buying these things because they're freaking comfortable. And they've got some really, really very comfortable, like pajamas, shorts, regular sheets, all sorts of good stuff. The mineral gray towels. These are awesome. Awesome. Anyways, go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. And you will, too. Taxpayers are on the hook for about $163 billion in project overruns, including controversial Fed renovations. The Senate report is pointing this out. The bulk of the nearly $163 billion is attributed to 2 white elephants. California's notorious high-speed rail project, which is tracking to be more than $95 billion over budget, and an effort to transition the Department of Veterans Affairs to an electronic health record system, which is set to be $33.7 billion more expensive than initially projected. This surprises me a lot. It shouldn't cost anywhere near that. Anywhere near that. IT stuff can be generally dealt with a bunch faster than that. Again, where the records are, I know there's a process in trying to map those back to a new database system and or just cutting and doing reporting differently. Like, you've got some options on the table, but that seems extraordinarily expensive, hence why they're on here. Hopefully these guys can pull back some of this money. We obviously pulled back $9 billion. Some of that was the U.S. aid money. Some of that was going to, oh, good God, I'm drawing a blank on it. Yeah, we're pulling back. Anyway, we're pulling back money. And that's good that we're doing that, and that actually managed to get voted through, which is impressive. Booker blew up at the Democrats on the Senate floor. He's talking about how they're willing to be complicit. I don't know. I guess I'll play the 2 minutes. I don't want to. We'll see. I might just hate myself for doing this, but here we go.
Jersey.
I'm confused by my colleague because she knows I don't object to her 2 bills. She's going to be coming here to offer her 2 bills in a second, so I don't know what the confusion is there. I object to the bills that are putting resources out that states from California to New York are not eligible for because of the actions of this president. The second thing my colleague confuses me is saying I had my chance. Well, actually, I didn't. The regularly scheduled Judiciary Committee hearing wrapped up, and then a hastily one was put back together. I had no notice of that, no ability to plan for it, and had a conflict. This, to me, is the problem with Democrats in America right now, is we're willing to be complicit to Donald Trump to let this pass through when we have all the leverage right now there is to say, if you're as passionate about police as we are, then pass bills out of this body that will help the police officers in Washington, that will help the police officers in Illinois, that will help the police officers in New Jersey, that will help the police officers in New York. Don't be complicit to the President of the United States, who we both know doesn't understand that language. Oh, please, don't hurt blue states. We are standing at a moment where our president is eviscerating the Constitution of the United States of America, and we're willing to go along with that today. No, not on my watch. I stand against this. It is a violation of our Constitution for the President of the United States to ignore the will of Congress and decide which states are eligible to grants and which are not.
He's just ignoring certain parts of Congress or whatever. Meh. J.D. Vance put this out. Gerrymander in California is outrageous. Of the 52 congressional districts, 9 of them are Republican. That means 17% of the delegation is Republicans, when Republicans regularly win 40% of the vote in that state. How can this be possible? All right. And by the way, I just have to go back really fast. He's talking about protecting cops. Dude, you guys are all the defund the police people, and I'm sure we've got all sorts of places of you saying defund the police there, Booker, right? So, whatever. Just to throw shade on you because you need some shade. You're getting sunburned. Intel board chairman wants security clearances revoked. Spies fired over Russiagate and other abuses. He goes, look, it's really quite simple. Who is this, by the way? This is advisory board. I don't know if we had an actual name here or what. Maybe we'll get one. Oh, Devin Nunes, cool. He says, look, it's really simple. There's a lot of criminals here, and it was a grand conspiracy. Remember, we made, a dozen criminal referrals when I was chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. So Nunes was talking about all this. He says, I just continue to be fascinated by the people who are still carrying a security clearance. It's amazing who are still in these agencies. And I'm just shaking my head like every time I turn around, like, wait. Wasn't that person in that position a Russian hoax person? All of those people need to get their security clearances pulled, and they should not be working anywhere near law enforcement or intelligence for that matter. So it's one of the things that our board is tasked with, and hopefully he can help us get to that point. President Trump said the Russiagate conspirators committed serious treason. Again, we haven't called for the arrest yet of Obama, but we certainly want to keep playing this up to the public. We want this story to build, and so we're going to continue to play a part in that, and that will ultimately lead to further questioning, potential arrests, hopefully more information becoming public, because this, for the most part, will be tried in the public, much like what they did with Trump. Needless to say, here's Trump talking about some of this stuff.
And so are you feeling like, even if Barack Obama has presidential immunity, do you think it's kind of justice for them to have to lawyer up, as James Clapper says?
I do. I look at Clapper lied to Congress.
Yeah.
Comey lied to everybody.
Brennan, yeah.
Brennan, he was maybe the worst of the group. These are all bad. These are lowlifes. These are losers. These are losers. And, I've been beating them for 10 years. You know how many times they were after me for so many different things?
Yeah.
And when you think of it, I've been beating them for 10 years. And it was false. It was all bullshit. It was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
It was, but you have to explain that to other people. But in the end, they got it. And we won we won every state. We won everything. So I said, look, you can't do that to Hillary Clinton. I was the one that killed it. And then they do the same thing to me,
So no more Mr. Nice Guy?
Well, I just want to be fair. Ultimately, it's up to Pam. I think she's doing a great job as Attorney General. It's up to her and her group. But they did a lot of bad things. I mean, I would say it was treason. It was treason. They made up all these stories, just fake stories. And yeah, I would say it was serious treason, and hurt the country and put the country in danger. They did on the Russia hoax. They lied unbelievably. How about Putin being accused? And he's no angel, that's for sure. But, what does he think? He's sitting back and he's being accused of stuff. And he's probably saying, these people are crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, again, and that was gut-filled. I think one of them's like, we almost owe Putin an apology. I mean, we do, frankly, because as a country, we just went crazy down that path. I think here's where be the calm in the storm, some of this nonsense. Yeah, this got me all fired up earlier. All said, John Solomon announces Chuck Grassley will release the Durham Annex. Again, just more good kind of information that is helping move things forward.
Is it your belief that the Durham Annex would show that FBI officials knew the Clinton campaign planned this all along?
Not only that, Sean, the Clinton Annex is going to show there was foreign intelligence. A foreign enemy had determined that the FBI had agreed to be the accelerant, that they were going to be conspirators joining with Hillary Clinton to give credence to her fake narrative. And that's exactly what happened. When people see what the foreign intelligence is and then how the FBI acted, it matches extremely closely. This is a bombshell Senator Grassley is going to release as early as tomorrow.
Is it your...
hopefully Grassley does release it, right? And again, FISA courts, too, I think are going to fall in line with this, too. So we're going to see a lot of information coming out. Kash Patel apparently found a trove of sensitive documents, and I think this is outside of the closet. These were supposedly in a burn bag. I believe burn bags are kind of their way. Instead of shredding stuff, they actually burn it, which is probably a more efficient way of destroying evidence, because shredding stuff, you could theoretically put it back together, albeit would be extremely difficult. There are certain secrets that would probably be worth doing that for. So you burn stuff, and oftentimes there's nothing left, especially if you burn it hot enough. So this is what we're hearing about. They found these burn bags in a secret room inside the Bureau. So sources told Fox News Digital that one of the documents FBI officials found in the burn bag was the classified annex to the former special counsel John Durham's final report, which includes the underlying intelligence he reviewed. The declassification of the classified annex is being done in close coordination with CI Director John Ratcliffe, Patel, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Acting Security Agency Director William Hartman. The declassified annex will be transmitted to Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, who ultimately will release the document to the public. So how that plays out should be nice, hopefully. The Trump administration has revoked U.S. aid's independent contracting authority following the exposure of a major bribery scheme involving a U.S. aid contractor. So this just gives us more weight. Granted, courts, I'm sure, are going to get involved in this at some point. We'll get Boasberg or one of these dumb shits to mess with it. But that said, we've probably got a lot of legal way to at least, allow us to continue holding the payments until this works through the courts, because of the fact that we found fraud. So this is going to be a tough one for them to fight, the deep state, I should say. Anyway, this is pretty good. I don't know, there was a small part of this that I probably could edit out, but I'm going to play it out. I think it's all relatively good to hear. I'm playing at 1.252. Check it out.
More fraud revealed at USAID last month. Roderick Watson, a former federal contracting officer, pled guilty to taking over $1 million in bribes while working at USAID and funneling contracts to 2 consulting firms. The scheme, spanning a decade, involved $550 million in federal contracts through a Small Business Administration program. The New York Post writing, quote, the USAID official received cash, laptops, thousands of dollars in tickets to a suite at an NBA game, a country club wedding, down payments on 2 residential mortgages, cellular phones, and jobs for relatives from the 3 businessmen as part of this scheme. Joining me now is Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. Kelly, good morning. What action is the SBA going to take in response to this investigation? And also, what happens to these contracts?
Well, good morning, Cheryl. Great to be with you. Look, the President Trump administration has a zero tolerance policy on fraud and corruption in federal government. So we're going after them. When we saw the DOJ prosecute $550 million in a fraudulent bribery scheme, we said we need a 15-year look-back audit on everything in federal contracting for small businesses. That's what we're doing right now. We have a 15-year retroactive audit ongoing right now. But what I'm announcing today on your show, Cheryl, is the fact that we have now rescinded the independent contracting authority of USAID because they operate a massive federal government contracting program. And so they can no longer oversee their government contracting for small businesses. We're standing up to corruption in the Trump administration that was allowed to proliferate under the Biden administration. So we're taking back that authority at the SBA, and we're looking across all federal agencies to restore confidence in this program.
Well, this, of course, amid the complete dismantling of the USAID program. I mean, that was one of the very first targets of DOJ. So thank you for letting us know and breaking that news here on our show. We certainly appreciate that. 15 years going back, that's quite an audit. If you're an accountant, Kelly, how long do you think that's going to take?
Well, Cheryl, the important thing to know about this program is we're going agency by agency, but we're moving quickly. We have to hold people accountable who are bad actors, who are taking opportunities from small businesses and taking taxpayer dollars for criminally corrupt activities that the American people suspect are out there, but no one has ever held them accountable. If you look at USAID alone, $3.8 billion in small business contracting, that's just one agency. So we are going to root this out. We have put all federal contracting officers on notice in a letter that we sent yesterday that they are legally responsible to report fraud and corruption, and we're going to continue to remind them of that, of their duty to taxpayers. So we'll continue to report results back from that, Cheryl.
That's remarkable, Kelly. Thank you again. That's going to be, I can't wait to see the results of that. So President Trump signing the big, beautiful bill into law earlier this month. He touted this as a massive success for workers and small businesses. Here's the president on Independence Day.
This bill will fuel massive economic growth and lift up the hardworking citizens who make this country run. The factory workers, farmers, mechanics, waiters, waitresses, police officers, firefighters, coal miners, and to protect 2 million family farms and other small businesses. After this kicks in, our country is going to be a rocket ship economically, and we've delivered no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And that's why when you hear things like that, this is the most it's the biggest bill of its kind ever done by far.
All right, Kelly, so what impact has the bill had on small businesses?
Well, President Trump's right. The one big beautiful bill is going to be rocket fuel for this rocket ship that President Trump has created. I mean, we see the economy performing across everything, jobs, lower inflation. We see now tax cuts, deregulation. The one big beautiful bill is the largest working family small business tax cut our country has ever seen. So it's going to supercharge investment. We've already seen $17 trillion pouring into this country. But for small business, it means making permanent that 20% pass-through deduction, 100% expensing for capital purchases and for R&D. We're going to see a CapEx boom. We're already seeing hiring taking off. We know, as I've walked factory floors with small businesses, most of our manufacturers in America are small businesses. They're spring-loaded to invest, to grow, and to hire. And Main Street already has confidence and optimism coming back. It's above the 51-year average in terms of small business optimism. Right. And so the one big beautiful bill is going to supercharge this great economy that President Trump is building.
That's right. We have seen that consumer number going higher. Before you go, I want to ask you about this. Support for socialism is growing across America. And New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani has found a way to connect with small businesses. He's using those small businesses to push socialism in New York. This is according to former FTC Chair Lena Khan. She wrote this in the New York Times, quote, he stopped by halal carts and bodegas and asked what challenges they face. It is the kind of outreach that teaches policymakers about real problems in our economy and can help build trust and lasting relationships. Kelly, if he's elected, what impact do you think his policies would have on small businesses, not just in New York City, but across the country?
Well, Cheryl, America's 34 million small businesses would be erased if we had socialism in this country. They are proof that capitalism works. So the fact that he's walking into the bodegas saying that he wants to help them, I mean, that's the wolf in the hen house. So look, socialism is a true threat, but he's even more than that. He's taking Joe Biden's socialist policies and putting them on steroids. I mean, he's got morally reprehensible policies from defund the police to globalize the Intifada. But when you hear him talk about seizing that means of production, that means he's taking businesses away and controlling that in the government. And that is a serious threat that people need to wake up to. And the fact that he's doing it in the capital of capitalism is a real threat. And we would see people leaving, businesses shutting down if he got into office and implemented his policies. And so small businesses need to know that he does not support their way of life. The fact that they are serving our communities by taking risks and creating opportunities and jobs. And he wants to put that back in the government. That's a communist policy. And socialist policies didn't work for Joe Biden. President Trump is reversing them with his amazing pro-capitalist, pro-growth agenda that lifts all Americans up.
Kelly Loeffler, it's always great to have you on the program. Come back.
Yeah, things are happening right now that are demonstrating to others that our country is in dire straits. Our country is broke. Our country has just fraud riddled through it. And our country really only seems to have this one small group of people that are truly fighting for the truth. And the truth is coming out. But it's being fought constantly by, for sure, the Democrat Party, but also a few rhinos. Many people want the big thing to us. The big thing to us is Obama's arrest, Hillary's arrest, the Epstein stuff that we allege or think, stuff that's been alleged, I should say, that happened there. Diddy was a big, giant fail, right? Again, that's a great question as to if we go too fast, we create a problem. Second, we need to get some of our judges in place before any of this stuff can ever move forward, before it'll ever be allowed to move forward. We don't want to have to appeal everything constantly. Like, it'd be nice to actually get the case done properly up front. We have to realize the corruption in our own government. We have to realize the ways people on the other side of the fence have to come to terms with that with us before anything else can happen. They tune out the second you start saying achromes, child stuff. That they check out. It's too abhorrent for them. Even though it's been said, they don't trust the numbers, by the way. But you can say 400,000 children went missing. It's a fact that we're bouncing around. It seems to be true. They're not going to believe you. They're going to tune you out. They immediately stop giving a shit what you think. Completely. You completely lose them. That's not good. In a game where we're trying to find common ground, trying to figure out how we can move forward together, because we don't want a civil war, we've got to be a little bit careful about how we move forward with these things. Well, I think we also need more senators and House of Representatives members that are good. We need to get through one more election that's legitimate, that we can trust, change the numbers the way they should, to where we might even have 60 in the Senate, which I think we could do. I think it's even mathematically possible. Certainly the House having a better majority there would be nice. That's what needs to happen. And then let the good times roll. Once we've got the infrastructure in place, we don't have that yet. Deep State still has their tentacles in all sorts of parts of what we're doing. So as much as we want, and I don't know who's controlling the movie, okay? I don't. Whether it's God, whether it's people, whatever. I'm not even going to argue that right now. It's just irrelevant. What happens, happens, and what happens, it's supposed to happen. Right, wrong, and different. We can question it all you want. You can question what happened to you in your life. Like, I don't think it was fair that so-and-so broke up with me. It's like, well, you did cheat on him like 14 times, right? And yeah, so, right? Like, I don't know. There's just some times where things got to play out. And we are part of that experience. We're not only living it ourselves, which is challenging in and of itself, but then you got doucheholes like me asking you to be like, and try to help others. Right? Like, I hear you. Friggin' stupid as hell. NTSB, they're going to start their hearings over the Army helicopter crash with the D.C., was it American Airlines or whoever it was, Reagan National Airport, though. It's very unfortunate. Killed 67 people, just to remind everybody. Very sad. A helicopter was definitely flying much higher than it should have been. Whether the pilots or whatever, like I assume they were all obviously qualified to fly, but why this thing was flying higher than it should, and there's a very specific way it's supposed to fly. Some people are kind of pissed the way the Army has responded to this, which I wonder about as well. Kind of. That's not Trump's way, that's for sure. And this was a major F-up. Now, did air traffic control do this? Did something else happen other than the Army making a mistake? I don't know. There's a lot of weird factors at risk, and the direction they steer you in the general media is probably the opposite direction. So just keep that in mind. Like whatever they say it is, all right, it's not that. All right, that helps. All right, gives you a better percentage. Investigation finds more inconsistencies in the Epstein jail footage. Yeah, this footage has been messed with. It seems. One, it's missing bare minimum, just to cover my tracks. Bare minimum, it stops a minute and 4 seconds before the end of the day, it seems, probably so it can save itself because it's old technology, and then start a new recording. And if they tried to run them right up to each other, you actually have problems. Anybody that's shot film footage and has a camera, that'll start a new file once you hit that 4 gigabyte size, or it just depends on the systems. But the older cameras, there's a fixed amount of space. And the second you hit 4 gigabytes, if you're lucky, you had a camera that would continue and make a new file. But there was a lag in between that. It wasn't instant. You lost some recording. So a minute 4 is stupid long time. Not surprised, not giving credit, not saying anything, just saying that for all the YouTube people out there that can't get critical. But there's other stuff missing. There's other angles missing. There seems like there's places where video's been spliced together. Don't know who messed with this. Don't know if this is a Comey phenomenon, right? Like, don't know. I don't know. But there's a lot of people that are looking very closely at this information, and it's not passing the snuff test. Something's up. Somehow this has been manipulated. Now, a lot of people are going to be led to believe it's the Trump administration and Bondi and all of them that have manipulated it, but that's almost assuredly not true. Almost assuredly not true. And in fact, hopefully, I'm trying to give credit to the guy. Hopefully, that's where some of Dan Bongino was so pissed. He's just like, are you shitting me? People are literally doing this? They've already been messing with everything? The FBI is literally doing this. Like, he was probably surprised to find out how dirty the FBI actually was. And we can't stop that immediately. And I think Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Trump and others kind of understand that it's a big ship that we're trying to steer, folks. If only it was that easy to fix, right? We'd fix it already. No, we've been fought everywhere. The deep state system is giant. Now, it's not necessarily a huge number of people, probably quite a few. I think I've heard people speculate in the million range. It's a lot of people that are deep state dicks. So we'll see. Now, interestingly, on this same subject, September 29th, that's when the Supreme Court is supposed to meet in private to discuss Ghislaine and talk about overturning her sex trafficking conviction. This is the thing they're not going to give her immunity for. We aren't going to be able to get any more information in any sort of capacity from Ghislaine until after September 29th, and even likely until after the ruling that the Supreme Court gives. Just letting you know. Trying to set expectations. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to make promises week after week, right? The clickbait bastards. They always do. That's why I'm so frustrated with them. They'll be like, Ghislaine's going to, the immunity deal's being created now. And then you'll get through the weekend and that never happened. But you'll click on it and watch it and be like, no, it's happening. I swear. It says right here, this person tweeted it and said this in their tweet. They didn't reference anything. You can't find it anywhere if you search for it. We are all going to have to be smarter than we are. Self-included. All of us are going to have to be smarter than we are right now. We're going to have to get better every day. AI is going to make it harder. The deep state, they're good at what they do. They're very good at knowing how to push us into take one of the people we like and get them to say something, and then they've got it. We do the same thing to them. So 29th of September. Unless something weird happens, shit ain't moving forward on the Epstein side until then. Now, they want to get documents, fine, but those documents could be tied up in actual investigations. You all have to accept that if any of this stuff's legit and we are actually going to bust anybody, then there has to be a current ongoing investigation. Has to be. We can't see it. It'll affect the jury pool, yada, yada, yada. It's stupid. Right, wrong, and different, folks. I'm not trying to get you to, I'm not talking you into this. I'm just telling you how it is. Sucks. Yeah, sure. For sure. That's what we're trying to change. Hope it gets better. That's my plan. Jeffrey Epstein files. Democrats turn some weird, obscure rule. Now 5 people on a committee say they want something to happen, then apparently it's got power. It's the Rule of 5, which stems from 1928 law and requires government agencies to hand over information if any 5 lawmakers on a Senate or House committee make said request. News at 11. Rule of 5. Sounds like a stupid show on Fox, frankly. It's not stupid, it's a decent show, but whatever. House Oversight Committee on Tuesday declined a request from Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer to grant her immunity in exchange for providing testimony. They're like, yeah, no, sorry. We ain't giving you shit. And I've seen the story already, by the way. I think I've got it. Is it here? Is it this one? There. Oh, no. It was Diddy. Yeah, because we've already talked about Trump, about whether or not he's going to, give her immunity, right? Whether he'll, what do they call that? They did all the, people. I always forget that word. I don't know why. Whatever. He'll come back to me. But there was a story floating around that he was asked about pardoning, there it is, the Diddy files. And I don't think that's true at all. There's no way he's getting involved in that. There's no reason to. But there's a story going around that he's thinking about pardoning Diddy. I've got it someplace, probably towards the end. The fresh Department of Justice filing disclosed that federal grand juries indicting Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell relied solely on testimony from 2 law enforcement officials. No victims or other witnesses appeared. The Epstein panel in June-July 2019 heard from 1 FBI agent, while the Maxwell jury in June-July 2020 and March 2021 included the same agent plus 1 NYPD detective on the FBI's Child Exploitation Task Force. 2 agents, easily controlled, easily chosen, easily provided. And that was it. No actual people that have gotten hurt. No testimony from any of them. Nothing like that. So meanwhile, the Supreme Court's going to weigh whether or not Maxwell's appeal to overturn her conviction during a private September 29th, 2025 conference centering on whether Epstein's 2007 Florida non-prosecution deal shielded her from New York charges. Lower court ruled the agreement applied only in Florida, but her team argues it binds prosecutors nationwide, highlighting circuit conflicts needing resolution. So again, this is the angle she's going with the Supreme Court September 29th. 2 Biden aides showing up voluntarily. Now, they're probably still going to take the 5th. Maybe. I doubt they're going to not take the 5th. Mike Donnellan and Steve Ricchetti. They both showed up. They're like, yeah, we'll show up. They're going to take the 5th, folks. Again, this is like one of these stories where it's going to get spun somewhere. I mean, it's not that exciting, but it'll get spun somewhere. They'll be like, they're going to testify. What? No. There's almost zero chance they're going to testify. I guarantee someone's going to spin it. Someone you all watch. They're going to testify. No, they're going to take the 5th. Not going to say anything. None of these people are going to say anything, especially Steve Ricchetti. The dude's way tied in all this crap. No damn way. But clickbait's going to be clickbait, man. Clickbaiters are going to fall for it. Trump says Nancy Pelosi should be investigated. I like that.
Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated, because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. And how did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
Or sells stock before the announcement's made. We know sometimes we cancel budgets, too. So oftentimes they know when money's going to flow somewhere. That's the easiest place to go, right? But I should do that. I want to remind you guys, of course, Pet Club's just awesome. If you guys got four-legged creatures, it's best for them. There's a human tab, which is kind of cool because really this mushroom works for just about every animal that eats it that we know of. I know someone's feeding sheep some of their extra mush ponies. I'm curious if the sheep eat them. If not, you got goats. Shit, man, goats will eat anything. They'll eat a friggin' box spring they'll eat a mattress. Goats are crazy. Whatever the case is, you want to go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Let me tell you why. I just want to make sure you know where. There's this thing called Coriolis versicolor. It's a mushroom. It's a mushroom that's very naturally grown. You can't take too much of it. You don't get high off it or anything crazy like that. What it does do, though, is it helps support your immune system in a major way. And they've found, and this research has shown, that generally speaking, the more of it that you eat, digestion, what all you got in your stomach before. Like, there's factors that come into play, right? How much stuff's going to get absorbed, how healthy you are. But the more of it you get into your system, the more it seems to enhance your health, your dog's health, your cat's health, your horse's health. Again, there's, like I said, there's 5 products. There's humans, there's dogs, there's cats. There's fun stuff. They've got mush puppies, which are these cookies. So you might want to switch them up. I don't know. I've heard a couple. It's only like 2 people that have told me this, but I don't exactly talk to everybody either. So sometimes I wonder. The mush puppies are good, and they tend to like them. They're like a cookie. But I think sometimes maybe the dogs are like, meh. You got these Mojos, too. That's a liver treat that's got the Coriolis versicolor meshed in. It's also what generally cats are offered. Cats won't eat a mush puppy to save their soul. There's just no way. They would never eat that. They would die before they would eat one of those things. But they've got Mush Puppies. They've got Mush Puppies Plus. They've got some really good stuff. So you should always check it out. Supercharged. It's got extra in it. So again, if you're going to give them a snack, sometimes it's better one and just got more in it, and you're kind of happier that way. But they got the special sauce. They got the foods. Again, think of the chemicals and all the nonsense that they get, like especially toys. In China, toys have lead in them, by the way. Dogs love sticks. The antler sticks are just a freaking smart idea. It's got minerals in it when they eat it. So again, they don't care. It's a stick. As far as they're concerned, but for you, it's actually a stick with a purpose. And so you're being the best caregiver of your animal. Mutt mitts, too, if they got that nasty-ass breath. And chill doggies, if you want to, I think those are frozen. So, sometimes dogs like to copy their owners. So if you get stuff out of the freezer, you get a little treat out of the freezer, well, you grab a treat for them out of the freezer, man. Then they're a part of the experience. Trust me, that means the world to a dog. That's the best way to say I love you. Pretty much. You just don't want to do it too often. So if you're overweight, you're going to make your dog overweight. Don't do that. Cat food, they got the good stuff. They got the Mojos. They got foods. They got all that crap. It's not really crap, but you get it. Mush ponies, sorry. Incredible product for horses. They got a number of ways to buy them. And, of course, humans. There's these pills. Yeah, there. Oh, my God. This is pretty good stuff. You take one pill for every 50 pounds. We had Baby Trumps running around saying he helped him get rid of a tumor. That's what he's saying. I had him on my show. He did that a long time ago. This is what he did. He took a bunch of this stuff, took like 4 or 5 times the amount. And just the Coriolis versicolor is a very powerful pro-stimulant of the immune system. And that tends to have some very profound effects. Again, if you're doing anything like that and like some of the parasitic cleanses that exist, you're giving yourself an extraordinarily big head start. The gummies for people, too, are outstanding. They're delicious. In fact, too good. And they've got the mushroom. You can kind of see it even. You don't taste it. You don't notice it. They're delicious. And they're all healthy and stuff. It's kind of weird. But raspberry rainforest is what they call that flavor. All you got to do is go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. And make that healthy choice. The Maha Priority, pursued by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. This is obviously some big stuff is coming through this. I feel like there was a bigger reason. voters so they can be pharmaceutical. Oh, the advertising. Yeah, the advertising. So they're talking about maybe trying to do this, and they're doing it through Congress, and it's got bipartisan support. But there's a ruling in the Supreme Court back in the day that kind of makes it sound like it's maybe a First Amendment right they're claiming for pharmaceutical companies to say this stuff. But I don't know. I feel like it's medical advice, and that's a different story. So I feel like there's a different argument that can be made, and so we'll see. We'll see where it goes. This direction is happening. Coming through Congress is the way to do it. We've got some federal judge, I'm sure, that'll block it once they pass the law, but it will at some point happen. U.S. Senate confirms Trump nominee Susan Monares as the CDC director. So that's, it's funny, right? Like, you feel like we've had a CDC person because it's been effectively, I think, Kennedy, right? But now we actually have a CDC person. And then Kennedy's just ahead of the whole entire administration, which is kind of cool. Trump officially signs the VA Home Loan Reform Act into law. Don't need to play 32 seconds, but yeah, he signed that. It's pretty cool for any of you veterans out there. That's probably a good thing. U.S. is catching up. Competition with China over the DR Congo minerals. I guess we're kind of working some deals in there too, trying to get some of that to go on. And by the way, the Congo's been a really nasty place where lots of people have died for years and years and years, like many, many years. So this is a very, very contentious part of the world that we don't give a shit at all about any of the people there. Nobody does. And that's really messed up. So yeah, a lot of people die, and it's typically them more than us, more than anyone else. It's Europeans, French, Russians, Chinese, like everybody's like in there getting stuff, putting their hands in the cookie jar. Trump's tariff economy surges to 3% GDP. It was expected to be like 2.3, 2.4. And so again, it's pretty good, way better. A lot of people are having to suck it up and admit that, well, shizzle, tariffs do seem to kind of help. Now, Trump's tariff, its idea is back in a court. We got a court right now that's trying to stop this. It's specific levies on Canada and China and Mexico. So this might have more to do with the new trade deal, the one that Trump signed back in his day. But I think this isn't going to stop everything. That's cool. But yeah, Canada, China, Mexico. I don't know about the China part either. I'm curious. They don't like the fentanyl markup in there. So I don't know. Trump is saying he's got International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. Like, these dudes are... Trump knows, like, he gets all the law. They do this stuff legally. They are doing it by the book. They're finding ways to do it. This is, sure, probably crazy and never been done before, but they're like, damn, that's brilliant. And that's what Trump's got around him, brilliance. So we'll see where that continues to go. They're going to always fight him, obviously. Trump truthed this out. Remember, while India is our friend, we have, over the years, done relative little business with them because their tariffs are far too high, among the highest in the world. And they have the most strenuous and obnoxious non-monetary trade barriers of any country. Also, they have always bought a vast majority of their military equipment from Russia and are Russia's largest buyer of energy, along with China, at a time when everyone wants Russia to stop the killing in Ukraine. All things not good. India will therefore be paying a tariff of 25% plus a penalty for the above starting on August 1st. Thank you for your attention to this matter. MAGA. Going to be bigger than that. And India is one of the places that a lot of the goods went from China to India. iPhone, for example, went to India. They're still going to get tariffed. Oil prices spike as Trump's shortened deadline for Putin will soon reveal which one of them miscalculated. There's just a lot of talk around the fact that these sanctions and tariffs aren't going to be an issue to Putin. It's going to suck more to Putin's friends. And so that's something Putin understands, and Putin understands that he needs to get this done. I think Putin basically told Trump, look, I think we're pretty much close to finished on this thing. And Trump's like, what, 15 days, 10 days, 12 days? What do we got to do? And then, he probably gave him a number. And Trump's like, all right, this deadline forward. So I don't think Putin's on our side per se. I think Putin and Trump, talk. And it's like, I know what you got to take care of. I know what you're doing. Like, fuck, man, how long do you need? This is ridiculous. I got to try to sell it to my people, is what this comes down to. And ultimately, that's what I feel like half the time when politicians open their mouth or certain people open their mouth, content creators, and it's like, then I feel like I'm the one that's got to try to help smooth it out because it's like, dude, I got to help sell this to the people. This is sometimes, as I've said before, powdered sugar on a turd. Haven't said that in a long time, have I? It's been a while. But that's still what I do. Treasury Secretary Bessent warns China of fresh tariffs over Russian oil purchases. He gets it. He's warned the Chinese regime that it could face sweeping U.S. trade penalties if it continues to purchase. But he even called out, I think, he's like, China, he says, I'm not going to play it all. I like Scott a lot. He says the Chinese take their sovereignty very seriously. He says, we don't want to impede on their sovereignty, so they'd like to pay 100% tariff. And he just kind of almost smiles at the end of it. I love the dude. And, China's probably going to have to pay some extra money. Trump's going to decide China tariff truce extension after trade talks. There was discussion that Bessent was going to basically give him the lowdown on what they all talked about. I think the other guy in there is also in there. But Trump will then make a decision. And whether or not that, because China, I believe, wants to extend it 30 days. And Trump's probably like, or 90 days, sorry. And Trump's probably like, hell no. A pause beyond the August 12th deadline. So I don't know. We'll see. It sounds like China's just trying to drag this out as much as they can, and they're having their own problems, frankly. And Trump knows that. And we've also got the TikTok thing that's pending big time in Trump's mind. So we're running up towards the ramping up for the election. The timing before that's going to matter, especially when it comes to TikTok. So again, there's a lot of things that are working forward that need to. Brazil officials worry Lula's going to make a fool of himself like Zelensky in the Trump talks. Long story short, they still haven't really talked about the tariffs, so he's going to get hit with tariffs anyway. I think they're talking about 50% tariff on Brazilian goods. Brazil trades a lot of crap with us, believe it or not, and people for that matter, or used to. This is... Again, one of the things that's going to kind of work out in the world. We obviously know this guy's not good. Bolsonaro is not good. I think we even know, this is kind of funny, the Treasury Department, they even hit that judge down there, the Moraes or whatever his name is. Yeah. They said any asset that he has here in the United States, we're actually sanctioning. We're taking it. It would impose the sanctions against Alexandre de Moraes, the judge who oversaw the prosecution of Bolsonaro and briefly banned Elon Musk's ex in the country. The sanctions order blocks any asset de Moraes has in the United States and prohibits U.S. citizens from transactions with him. Done. No more money to him at all. That's huge. This dude's one of the deep staters, probably getting money directly from the United States, probably through senators or some weird way like that. Las Vegas economy's taking a crap right now. Generally speaking, when this happens, it's because the economy's in a bit of a downward turn. This is going to be some of the argument I think they're going to make against Powell and the Fed. But again, things have to turn down a little bit. Trump's got all the stuff in place to make things good, but we need this moment to show up that freaks people out and gets them to realize we can't let them do our monetary policy. That's ridiculous. The judge rejects a bid to open the Fed's closed-door meeting on interest rates. It's funny, and it's a company that, wanted this to be public for all the right reasons. I think it's funny. It's Azoria Capital, Inc. They are the ones that were requesting this. They got shot down. I'm trying to find, the name of the group is the FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee. It's a committee that has the meeting. Now, they said this committee is, they talk about stuff that's basically, top secret, if you will. Or somewhat from that standpoint, trade secrets, maybe even somewhat. So they don't feel it should have to be to the public. Now, I think one of the things that they ultimately could say, and it would be funny, is the Federal Reserve is not a federal agency at all. In fact, it's licensed out of Puerto Rico. It is a privately owned organization, and we pay them, the organization, the interest on the money they print for us. Now, certainly some other countries buy our debt, and we pay them back for buying our debt because that went straight to the Fed. But that's sort of different. That's the Treasury having to pay it, which we have to tax people and stuff like that to get. And then the Federal Reserve prints it, and we owe them taxpayer money to pay for that money they just printed. So again, this is a system that needs to change. Fed members have healthy disagreement on interest rates, economist says. Yay. Yeah, they didn't go up. Then you can have a healthy debate all you want. It ain't happening. Gold was up a little bit earlier in the day. It's kind of fun. But yeah, stock market, doesn't really care. Oil's up a bit. That's what everyone's making noise about. Ooh, oil went up today. Yeah, a little bit. Just want to remind you guys, DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Gold prices are going to stuff that's coming is going to be interesting when it goes in that big picture. So just prepare yourself as best you can. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, I just recommend diversifying or getting the F out while it's still a good idea. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. It was a way better idea a year or two ago, but it's still a good idea. DRSlikesgold.com. All right. Trump could pull up to 30% of U.S. troops currently in Europe. Talking about pulling all sorts of people out. We're like, dude, we're not going to pay for this stuff. We're spending a lot of money for stuff we don't need to pay money for. We don't need to pay money for this. We're not going to anymore. It's not our problem. America first. I like that. EU courts Turkey as it overlooks Istanbul mayor arrest. Again, what's going on with Erdogan? It's interesting because he's sort of a weird, thorn in the side of Europe, but at the same time, Europe's gem. Kind of keeps him connected to the Arab world, helps keep things locked down there. He's also got up quite the military, so from a NATO standpoint, he's very helpful. He's also donated or given a lot of equipment to the Ukrainians. So he's kind of pretty cool. But at the same time, he frequently goes against what Europe's trying to do, especially when it goes to Russia. So Turkey's an interesting beast. They're doing some weird stuff. People seem to be oddly silent about it. I don't know if he's shutting down deep state. They claim it's like the conservative side of the fence, but I feel like a lot of the times when they say that, it's almost not a conservative group. They just call themselves that, and they end up being like liberal or left center at best, but still not conservative. So it's interesting. And nobody's really bitching about it. And he's still sort of keeping Israel from getting too crazy. And Syria is another big part of this. So this is, I don't know, there's a weird bit of stability that Turkey brings to the table. And I don't think I did the best job explaining all of it, but meh. France edging closer to fiscal red line. They're about crap. The International Monetary Fund might need to be brought in to help them because they're sort of broke. So, the IMF might have to get involved, which would not be a good thing for them to get in financial supervision. That's essentially when they start taking ownership of the country, which is what they wanted to do to the United States. And to some degree, it started making steps towards. But I think we've stopped them, and I think we're going to turn some of it backwards. All said, the movement is important that we continue the momentum. U.S. UK in secret talks with Ukrainian officials to replace Zelensky. Whether this is true or not, don't know. But this is floating around out there. It is from Russian Foreign Intelligence Services. Wouldn't surprise me. This supposedly is the dude. They got some glamour shots of him. Check this one out. Look at that. On Vogue. Doing the finger on the face thing. Bro, that was a mistake. A mistake, home dog. This one's cool. I don't mind that one. You look cash. I like that. Valerie Zaluzhny. Here you look gay. Hey, pretty much. Just saying. Hey, being gay is cool. Be gay. I'm okay with that. This better, kind of. This not better. No. Look at the finger. Oh, jeez. Shucks. I don't even think you're not even allowed to be gay in Russia, are you? Maybe Ukraine you can. In Ukraine you could be gay. It's okay. Russia could end the war tomorrow. The Ukrainians will move that fast, but that's big questions on how far Putin is to being done. Odds are they're going to be hitting hard over the next number of days. Trump's going to have to play this publicly the way he has to play this. Hopefully the war's almost over, and I think we're probably going to see that, and then everybody's going to have to love Trump again because he helped end another war. Putin might even give credit in some weird way. California, they've launched a snitch line. Yep, apparently it's become illegal to use styrofoam, and any business doing that. What if it's illegal people in the business, by the way, Newsom? I'm curious. If it's a business that is possibly, the people that own it, like it's maybe a taco truck, right? And they got these styrofoam things, and they're not legal, like what happens then? What happens then? You still okay with us narking on them? Whatever the case is, they've got a narc line. I'm not going to actually say what it is. God forbid someone actually remembers it and uses it. That would be horrible. Trump DOJ announces they've found UCLA to be in violation of federal civil rights laws. Or, long story short, they failed to take timely and appropriate action, yada, yada. Kind of like what Columbia was doing. And they've got some civil rights issues for sure. And again, and it's weird that it's taken them. It's probably took longer to get the documents from UCLA than it did some of the other schools. But Harmeet Dillon is definitely going after him. Hopefully we'll hear more of that in the coming days. YouTube's plan is going to use AI to detect users' ages. I kind of like this. At the same time, they're still spying on your child. Everything we do online is spied on. But YouTube's going to begin using an AI to monitor users' behavior. They're going to interpret the basic age, what you are, just based off of what you're looking at, how long you're looking at it, stuff like that. And so they're going to very quickly probably be able to figure out whether or not you are younger or older. They've got gobs of information that would make that super easy. I feel like this is a pretty smart way. If it's somebody that behaves as though they're underage and somehow claims they're not, they'll need to prove it in some way, shape, or form. That's what it's going to come down to, either through a digital ID or scanning a picture of your ID or whatever. That you'll have to do that. Otherwise, you just can't use certain parts of YouTube, or certain videos will not be served up to you. To me, that actually seems reasonable. Like, I don't know what's going on, but YouTube's every once in a while. Don't know. I don't know. I mean, they've been a little better at teaching some of us the rules. I had a little training thing I had to go through. It was helpful, believe it or not. I actually think it teaches something I learned kind of in radio, but I think they've taken it kind of a step further than legally you would have to if you were broadcasting on the air. Porn studios file a copyright lawsuit against Meta, claiming mass downloads of XXX movies to train AI. If this is actually true, this is so freaking bizarre to me. Why does Meta need to train its AI on porn? I'm just asking for a friend. Wow. President Trump may be giving, this is the one right here, page 6, for, so this is New York Times or New York Post or whatever. This is a stupid story. I don't believe it for a second. I can't imagine this is true. I can't even imagine how bad this would play out. Or if this is like what Fulford would say, this is the other Trump that said this. Maybe. Whatever. President Donald Trump may be giving Sean Diddy Combs a get-out-of-jail-free card. An administration source, a leaker, it would need to be, told Deadline that a pardon for the Act Bad rapper is being seriously considered after Combs was found guilty of 2 counts of prostitution. I can almost guarantee you this story is bullshit. Please know that. And another, I think, probably bullshit story, as much as it's fun to think otherwise. I don't think this is legit, but maybe it's true. Ex-NASA engineer claims trillions of shape-shifting cloaked devices are hidden across the Earth. Trillions. More than the people by 1,000-fold. 1,000 times more of these than there are of us people. Richard Bendurick, the CEO of Field Propulsion Technologies, probably trying to sell stuff, probably trying to get his company on the map. This is probably clickbait, almost assuredly. Got to cover these things sometimes just to make sure people don't run too far away. Like leash will grab you. It sucks. All said. A lot happening. I've got some major voice over stuff I got to do with the one stuff we're doing tomorrow. So looking forward to that. This is having Sunday and Monday off. Woo. Boy, that put me behind schedule on this week. Got all the music recorded and ready to go. I still got to edit it, but it friggin' came out awesome. That's going to be a bitchin' ass show on Friday. Hope you guys join me for that. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And again, Law of One is tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Again, a good time. I forget what sessions we are. I think 35 and 36. Whatever the case is, it'll happen tomorrow. And I'll be done recording and editing today. But again, a lot happening, and the world's changing quickly. Be careful who and what you're listening to. Again, listen to whoever you want, but just understand that if they're not giving good sources, or if there's alleged, or if it's frickin' Axios that's behind the story, think twice or 3 times even before you assume it's accurate, and then start, factoring reality off of that fact that's not a fact anymore, right? Like, be careful, that's all, because we can build some pretty crappy structures, some pretty crappy foundations if we don't have good, solid information. And I see a lot of people kind of running with that sometimes too. So yeah, I don't know. It's up to you. You guys do what you got to do. This is your journey. I'm just here to help the best I can and shine as bright a light as I possibly can. I love you guys, and I'll keep doing it with you. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.